This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024, WHO alert. New Mpox strain threatens Central Africa. The World Health Organization has issued a warning about a new strain of Mpox, a viral infection that spreads through close contact. This strain, known as Clade I, is particularly dangerous and has been linked to a high number of deaths, especially among children. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, there have been nearly 8,000 cases of Mpox this year, including 384 deaths, with many of these cases occurring in children under the age of 15. The new strain has been detected in several cities along the border with Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda, and health officials are warning of a renewed risk of cross-border and international spread. The virus can be spread through both sexual and non-sexual close skin-to-skin contact, making it more dangerous than previous outbreaks. The WHO has emphasized the urgent need to address the escalating spread of Mpox in Africa, and scientists are calling for urgent action to contain the outbreak. The lack of access to vaccines and treatments in the region is a major concern, as it makes it difficult to control the spread of the virus. The new strain of Mpox is not only deadly, but also causes long-term complications, including eye, skin, and genital problems. In some cases, infected pregnant women have miscarried, and healthcare workers have also been affected, with one reported to have lost her sight after becoming infected. The WHO has urged countries to take immediate action to prevent the spread of the virus, including increasing access to vaccines and treatments, and improving surveillance and detection. The global health community is closely monitoring the situation and working to contain the outbreak before it spreads further. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. FDA cracks down on Bimbo Bakeries USA for false allergen labels. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has issued a warning to Bimbo Bakeries USA, the maker of Sara Lee and Entenmann's products, for falsely labeling their products with allergens that are not present. The FDA found that Bimbo listed ingredients like sesame or tree nuts on labels, even when they weren't in the foods. This is a violation of FDA regulations, which require truthful and non-misleading food labeling. The FDA emphasized that allergen labeling is not a substitute for preventing cross-contamination in manufacturing facilities. The agency also highlighted that the labeling of allergens cannot substitute for proper cleaning and sanitation practices to prevent cross-contamination. Advocates from the nonprofit group FAIR, Food Allergy Research and Education, expressed concern that such mislabeling poses a risk to the 33 million Americans with food allergies. They emphasized that accurate labeling is crucial for their health and safety, and the lack of it erodes trust and limits choices for these consumers. Bimbo Bakeries USA has until July 8 to rectify the situation or provide justification for their labeling practices. The company has stated that they are committed to protecting consumers with allergen sensitivities and are working with the FDA to address the matter. This issue arose following a new law in 2022 that mandated sesame be included as a major allergen on packaging. Some companies, including Bimbo, began listing allergens such as sesame on labels as a precaution in case of cross-contamination. However, the FDA has warned that this practice is not in line with federal regulations. The FDA has also emphasized that statements that a product may contain certain allergens could be considered truthful and not misleading. The agency has given Bimbo until July 8 to identify steps taken to remedy the issue or to explain why the labeling doesn't violate FDA standards. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Julian Assange ends U.S. standoff, strikes plea deal with Justice Department. Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, has ended his stalemate with the U.S. government by agreeing to plead guilty to a single charge of espionage in exchange for his freedom. This development marks a significant turning point in the 14-year legal battle that has spanned continents. Assange, 52, appeared in a U.S. courtroom on the Northern Mariana Islands to formalize the agreement, officially pleading guilty to conspiring unlawfully to obtain and disseminate classified information. He will not serve any additional time in a U.S. prison, as the sentence equates to the 5 years he spent in a British prison while fighting extradition. The deal was brokered with the Justice Department, which had originally charged Assange with 18 criminal counts related to his organization's release of massive troves of sensitive information into the public domain. Instead, Assange entered a guilty plea to a single criminal charge, which carries a sentence of 62 months in prison. Assange's legal team has argued that the prosecution of their client is unprecedented and that he should not have been charged under the Espionage Act. They claim that Assange's actions were those of a journalist, and that the First Amendment protected his activity. The U.S. Department of Justice has stated that Assange is barred from returning to the U.S. without permission. Pursuant to the plea agreement, Assange will return to Australia, his home country, where he will be greeted as a free man. This development has sparked both joy and debate around the world, with some praising Assange as a champion of free speech, and others criticizing him for putting national security at risk. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Progressive Squad faces major setback as Bowman loses to pro-Israel centrist Latimer. Representative Jamal Bowman of New York, a member of the Progressive Squad, lost his seat in Congress in a Democratic primary election. The primary focused on disagreements within the Democratic Party regarding Israel's war in Gaza. Progressive groups supported Bowman, while pro-Israel political groups spent significant amounts of money to defeat him. George Latimer, a centrist with pro-Israel views, emerged victorious over Bowman, who was a highly vocal critic of Israel's actions in Gaza. This outcome marks the first defeat for a member of the Progressive Squad in the 2024 election cycle. However, the election evolved into a broader discussion of race and class, testing the Democratic coalition. The primary race centered on the conflict in Gaza, with Latimer criticizing Bowman's calls for a permanent ceasefire and his resistance to additional arms sales to Israel. Bowman, known for his energetic campaigning and progressive endorsements, faced setbacks, including a significant district redraw that shifted the political landscape less in his favor. The defeat of Bowman, a prominent member of the Progressive Democrats' squad, raises questions about the enduring power of this faction within the party. There are concerns that Bowman's defeat may deter Democrats from openly criticizing Israel in the future. The outcome of this primary race serves as a robust validation of Latimer's pro-Israel stance and moderate political approach, while dealing a blow to Bowman's vocal leftist style, particularly in a district known for its moderate suburban demographics. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Boebert's triumph and Colorado's GOP shakeup. Lauren Boebert, the conservative firebrand, has won the Republican primary in Colorado's 4th district after switching districts last year. Boebert's victory is seen as a boost for the far-right flank of the House GOP, known for their uncompromising stance and aggressive tactics. Boebert's win comes after a scandal over a video of her at a Denver theater and accusations of carpetbagging after fleeing her current district. Boebert's victory party was attended by supporters wearing reflective gold sneakers sold by former President Donald Trump and white Make America Great Again hats. Boebert promised to continue her combative style and fight for policies such as shutting down the southern border. In other closely watched Republican contests, Attorney Jeff Hurd won the primary for the 3rd district seat, currently held by Boebert, and political consultant and talk radio host Jeff Crank defeated Colorado GOP Chairman Dave Williams in the 5th district. Boebert's win positions her for a likely easy win in the November general election. The 4th district overwhelmingly went for Trump in the 2020 election, and the seat opened up after former Republican Representative Ken Buck resigned. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Oakland in turmoil. Mayor Shang Thao faces FBI raid and resignations. Oakland Mayor Shang Thao is facing a crisis as former allies abandon her administration following an FBI raid on her home. Thao's personal lawyer and the head of communications for her administration have both resigned in the past 2 days, while a former chief of staff has called on her to resign. Thao's administration has been embroiled in a pay-to-play scandal, and her house was raided by the FBI as part of an ongoing investigation. Last week, a campaign to recall Thao made it onto November's ballot. This is the first mayoral recall in Oakland's history. The recall effort, led by Oakland United to recall Shang, cites several reasons for the recall, including Thao's failure to crack down on crime, missing a deadline to apply for a $15 million state crime grant, firing Oakland Police Chief LaRon Armstrong, and losing the Oakland A's. Thao has denied any wrongdoing and claims she is a victim of federal agents. Her attorney has also resigned, citing a difference in approach. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. IATSE and Hollywood studios strike tentative agreement on AI and wage increases. The International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, IATSE, has reached a tentative agreement with Hollywood's top studios and streamers. This comes after months of negotiations and just 2 days into the resumption of talks between the parties. The agreement includes wage gains, new protections around artificial intelligence, and increases in pension and health plans. The proposed deal includes scale rate increases of 7%, 4%, and 3.5% over the 3-year term. Hourly workers will receive triple time for any workday exceeding 15 hours, and all on-call classifications will now receive double time on the 7th day of the work week. Additionally, there will be additional increases in pay for non-dramatic productions under the videotape supplemental agreement. The agreement also includes new protections around artificial intelligence, ensuring that no employee is required to provide AI prompts in any manner that would result in the displacement of any covered employee. This is in addition to the tentative agreements reached in the local agreement negotiations. For the motion picture industry pension and health plans, MPIPHP, the tentative agreement includes additional payments from employers to address the $670 million funding gap, including new streaming residuals. No participant will face a break in service for the 2023 plan year. The ratification timeline will be forthcoming, and the complete package will be presented to the members for consideration. The agreement is pending approval by the union's membership, and members will have the opportunity to review the agreement in the form of a detailed summary and a memorandum of agreement. This tentative agreement is a significant step forward in the negotiations between IATSE and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. It comes after months of negotiations and is a testament to the hard work and dedication of both parties. It signals a potentially smoother path for the completion of the Area Standards Agreement, offering hope for a decrease in labor anxiety in the industry. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Jacksonville's $1.4 billion revamp of EverBank Stadium, securing the Jaguars' future. The Jacksonville City Council has approved a $1.4 billion renovation of EverBank Stadium, the home of the NFL's Jacksonville Jaguars. The agreement between the team and the city is a major step towards securing the franchise's long-term stability. The final hurdle for the project is obtaining approval from at least 24 of the NFL's 32 owners at the league's meetings in October. If successful, construction is set to begin after the 2025 season and be completed in time for the 2028 season. The city will contribute $775 million, while the Jaguars will invest $625 million, with the city also responsible for $150 million in maintenance and repairs. Jaguars owner Shad Khan will be responsible for cost overruns and 80.4% of game day expenses. Standout features of the renovated stadium include a shaded canopy over every seat, reducing the temperature by about 15 degrees, similar to SoFi Stadium in California, and a higher capacity of 63,000, expandable to over 70,000 for certain events. The agreement also includes a 30-year lease and a non-relocation agreement, which will put an end to relocation rumors surrounding the team. The renovation is expected to be completed by the 2028 season. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. CDC alert: dengue fever on the rise in the Americas. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, has issued a health advisory warning of an increased risk of dengue fever in the United States. This heightened risk is attributed to a global surge in dengue cases, particularly in the Americas, where over 9.7 million cases have been reported in the first half of 2024. This number is more than double the total reported for the entire year of 2023. Dengue fever is a mosquito-borne viral disease that can cause severe symptoms such as fever, headache, nausea, vomiting, and body aches. In severe cases, it can lead to life-threatening complications like hemorrhage, shock, and organ failure. The CDC has advised healthcare providers to be vigilant for dengue infections, particularly in individuals who have recently visited areas with high transmission rates. They should conduct appropriate diagnostic tests, report new cases promptly to public health authorities, and promote measures to prevent mosquito bites. To combat the spread of dengue fever, the CDC is enhancing laboratory testing for improved diagnosis, alongside educational efforts to raise awareness about the disease and its prevention. Recommendations for preventing dengue fever include seeking shelter in air-conditioned places when feasible, using insect repellent, and wearing long clothing to minimize mosquito bites. The CDC has also issued a warning to travelers, especially those who have recently visited areas with high dengue transmission rates. They should be aware of the symptoms of dengue fever and seek medical attention immediately if they experience any of these symptoms. By being aware of the risks and taking steps to prevent mosquito bites, individuals can reduce their risk of contracting dengue fever. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Judge Canon questions Trump's FBI claims. U.S. District Judge Aileen M. Canon showed skepticism towards former President Donald Trump's claims that the FBI mishandled the search of his Mar-a-Lago property. Trump's legal team had asked for a Franks hearing, where they sought to demonstrate that the government intentionally misled a magistrate judge in order to obtain a search warrant. However, Canon did not appear convinced and suggested that Trump's lawyers had not provided enough evidence to warrant such a hearing. The judge's decision could impact the admissibility of a significant amount of evidence in the classified documents case against Trump. The defense had also argued that the search was politically motivated and too broad. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. California Governor Gavin Newsom takes aim at conservatives in pre-debate address. Governor Gavin Newsom of California delivered his annual State of the State address on Tuesday, using the occasion to confront Republicans across the nation. In a pre-recorded speech posted on social media, Newsom slammed conservatives and delusional California bashers and defended the California way of life. This move came 2 days before the presidential debate in Atlanta, where Newsom was expected to appear as a surrogate for President Biden. Newsom's address highlighted the state's commitment to civil rights, inclusive values, and economic strength. He emphasized California's role as a beacon of progress against conservative opposition, particularly highlighting the protection of women's rights. The governor also touched on cultural aspects, portraying California as a hub of creativity and innovation. Newsom's speech was met with criticism from his Republican opponents, who accused him of neglecting his duties by not delivering the address in person at the state capitol. However, Newsom's aides defended his choice, citing the constitutional requirement for the governor to submit a written letter to the legislature. The address also underscored Newsom's stance against conservative policies on reproductive rights, positioning Democrats as advocates for women's autonomy and pushing back against restrictive legislation. The timing of his address, just before the presidential debate between Donald Trump and President Biden, suggests Newsom's message was aimed at a national audience. Newsom has been a vocal supporter of President Biden and has warned Democrats about underestimating the Republican MAGA movement. With his confrontational approach, Newsom has positioned himself as a potential future presidential candidate in the Democratic Party. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Darlene 3 blaze. Oregon's urgent battle for safety and power. The Darlene 3 fire in Central Oregon has grown to over 250 acres in less than 3 hours, prompting evacuations and leaving thousands without power. The fire, which started around 12:45 p.m. on Tuesday, quickly spread to cover 3 to 5 acres, tripling in size within an hour. By Tuesday night, it had swelled to over 250 acres and was 0% contained. Residents in some areas of Deschutes County were ordered to evacuate immediately while others were told to prepare to evacuate. The U.S. Forest Service shut down and evacuated nearby campgrounds and trails in Deschutes National Forest. A shelter for evacuees was set up at Lapine High School, and a shelter for livestock and pets was established at the Lapine Rodeo Grounds. Governor Tina Kotek invoked Oregon's Emergency Conflagration Act, allowing the state fire marshal to invoke the full power of the Oregon Fire Service to protect life and property. Mid-State Electric Cooperative, an electric utility company, told some customers it would most likely enact a public safety shutoff in the area. As a result of the fires, over 2,000 customers are without power. The cause of the fire is under investigation. The Darlene 3 fire is a sign of the area's history with wildfires, with the Darlene fire in 2021 burning nearly 700 acres and destroying 2 homes. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Israel's Supreme Court ruling. Military service shake-up and Netanyahu's political future. Israel's Supreme Court has ruled that ultra-Orthodox men must serve in the military, ending decades-old exemptions. This landmark decision could lead to the collapse of Prime Minister Netanyahu's government. The ruling is a significant shift in Israel's policy, as ultra-Orthodox men have been exempt from military service since the country's founding. The decision is expected to be followed by the military, which will begin drafting ultra-Orthodox men into service. This move is seen as a major blow to Netanyahu's coalition government, which relies heavily on ultra-Orthodox parties. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been opposed to ending the exemptions, but his government has stated that it will respect the court's decision. This move is expected to have implications for the military and for Netanyahu's political future. The ruling has sparked widespread controversy, with some calling it a necessary step towards equality, and others arguing it will lead to greater social and religious tensions. Still, others see this ruling as a significant step towards bridging the divide between the ultra-Orthodox community and the secular majority in Israel. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Kenya on edge. Police clash with protesters in Nairobi over controversial finance bill. In Nairobi, Kenya, police fired on demonstrators who were attempting to storm the Parliament building, resulting in several deaths. The protests were sparked by outrage over a finance bill, which many Kenyans believe will lead to higher taxes and increased financial burdens. The incident has led to further unrest in the city, with clashes between protesters and security forces. The situation remains tense, as calls for the president's resignation are growing louder. This incident highlights the ongoing political and economic challenges facing Kenya, as well as the deepening divide between the government and its citizens. Authorities are now under pressure to address the concerns of the protesters and work towards a resolution. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Trudeau's leadership questioned after shocking Toronto by-election loss. Justin Trudeau's political future is under scrutiny following a historic defeat in a downtown Toronto by-election. The Conservative candidate Don Stewart won the seat by a narrow margin, marking a significant upset for the Liberal Party. This loss has sparked intense speculation about Trudeau's leadership, with many questioning whether he should stay or step down. Trudeau has expressed resolve, emphasizing his commitment to addressing Canadians' concerns and focusing on their success. Despite the setback, he remains determined to lead the party into the next election. However, the defeat has prompted internal discussions within the party about leadership succession, with potential successors like Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland and others gaining traction. The by-election loss comes amid economic challenges, including rising costs, affecting Canadians' daily lives and concerns over the government's handling of international issues. The defeat in Toronto St. Paul's, a long-time Liberal stronghold, has added pressure on Trudeau's government to address the affordability crisis and regain public trust ahead of the next election. Trudeau's popularity has been declining, with recent polls suggesting that as many as 68% of Canadians want him to step down. Despite this, he has repeatedly pledged to his party that he will not resign. The outcome of this by-election is expected to have significant implications for Trudeau's political future, with many predicting that it could be a sign of things to come in the next general election. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Betting on politics. Alister Jack's controversial election predictions. Cabinet Minister Alister Jack has admitted to placing 3 bets on the date of the general election in the weeks prior to the announcement made by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Jack, who is the Scottish Secretary, stated that he placed a successful bet in April, predicting that the election would be held between July and September. However, he had previously lost 2 similar bets in March. Jack clarified that he did not breach any rules, and asserted that his comments about making £2,100 from one of the bets were meant as a joke. He confessed to placing a £20 bet at odds of 5-1, which would have resulted in a return of £120. Additionally, Jack mentioned putting 2 £5 bets in March, one for an election in May, and the other for June. He emphasized that he had no prior knowledge of the election date, and is not under investigation by the Gambling Commission. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024. Dagestan attacks. Russia's rising internal terror threat. The recent attacks in Dagestan, Russia, have left the region in mourning and raised suspicions about the perpetrators behind the brutal onslaught. The coordinated attacks targeted various locations, including a Jewish synagogue, Orthodox Christian churches, and a police station in Makhachkala and Derbent, killing over 20 people, predominantly police officers. The Russian Investigative Committee has initiated a criminal investigation into the attacks, which have been labeled as acts of terror. Despite the absence of a direct claim of responsibility, the incidents have sparked a flurry of theories and questions regarding the motives and identities of the attackers. Critics of the government view these events as a sign of negligence on the part of the Kremlin, suggesting that the focus on external conflicts, such as the war in Ukraine, has diverted attention from rising extremist threats within the country. The assaults in Dagestan follow a similar attack in Moscow a few months earlier, where gunmen affiliated with an Islamic State faction perpetrated a deadly assault on a concert hall. The attacks have also exposed Russia's vulnerable underbelly, with local officials acknowledging that the assailants' aim was to sow discord in a region marked by religious and ethnic diversity. The response to the attacks has evoked a range of reactions, from political blame games to calls for unity and vigilance against future threats. In the wake of this tragedy, President Vladimir Putin has expressed condolences to the victims, as the nation awaits the official findings of the investigative authorities. The local governor of Russia's Dagestan region has fired a prominent politician in Russian President Vladimir Putin's United Russia Party after reports surfaced that his sons and nephews were involved in the deadly attack. The politician, Magomed Amirov, the head of Dagestan's Sergakalinsky district, was detained and interrogated in connection to his relatives' alleged involvement. 5 suspects have already been killed or eliminated, Russia's investigative committee announced. 2 of those liquidated were Amirov's son Osman Amirov and his nephew Ali Zakarigayev, according to a Russian security service source. His other son, Adil Amirov, was also killed, along with his other nephew, Abdusamad Ahmadziev. The regional governor, Sergei Melikov, said Magomed Amirov would be held fully accountable if the authorities find out he was involved himself, adding that parents are responsible for those they raise. Amirov has been expelled from the United Party since Sunday. The region is conducting operational search and investigative activities until all participants in the sleeper cells are identified, Melikov said. Amirov had 8 sons, each of which is being checked for links to terrorist organizations. According to a report from Komsomolskaya Pravda, the attacks may have been coordinated by Wilayat Kavkaz, an ISIS sleeper cell, according to the Institute for the Study of War. It marks the deadliest attack in Russia since the Moscow shooting in March. Russia has been working to steel itself against the recent flurry of terrorist attacks. Russian authorities initiated a sweeping crackdown on migrants throughout the nation in an attempt to tamp down on any terrorist cells with sights set on plotting attacks after the Moscow attack. And although the anti-terrorism brigades have been on high alert, Russia's security and intelligence apparatus appears to have been caught off guard, and the call might be coming from inside the house, according to local officials. This is the news for today, Tuesday, June 25, 2024, Chang'e 6 triumph. China's lunar gold mine, China's Chang'e 6 lunar probe has returned the first-ever samples from the far side of the moon, marking a significant triumph for China's space program. The probe landed in Inner Mongolia, delivering precious samples, including 2.5-million-year-old volcanic rock. The mission launched in May and successfully collected samples before embarking on its return journey. The probe also dropped off scientific payloads on the lunar surface, contributing to further research. The far side of the moon remains relatively unexplored, and scientists hope to find valuable resources, such as water ice, for future missions. The samples are expected to provide valuable insights into the moon's formation and evolution. Researchers are excited about the findings, referring to them as a gold mine and a treasure chest.